Ladies and gentlemen, in life we all face moments of uncertainty, doubt, and pain. There are times when we feel the weight of the world on our shoulders and we wonder how much more we can carry. The road ahead seems long, and the challenges in front of us feel insurmountable. In such moments, it is easy to become overwhelmed, to feel lost and hopeless, and to question if we have what it takes to keep going. But in those very moments, there is a profound truth that we must embrace, a truth that can bring us peace, strength, and a renewed sense of hope. That truth is, leave it to God. When life gets tough, the human instinct is often to try to control everything, to fix every problem ourselves, to take matters into our own hands. We think that if we just work harder, push further, or plan more meticulously, we can make everything go the way we want. But the reality is that there are many things in life that are beyond our control. There are moments when no amount of effort or planning will change the outcome. And it is in those moments that we must learn to surrender our will to a higher power and trust that God has a plan for us. Leaving it to God is not about giving up or resigning ourselves to defeat. It is not about being passive or inactive. On the contrary, it is about acknowledging that there are forces greater than ourselves at work in our lives. It is about recognizing that we are not alone, that we are supported by a divine presence that sees the bigger picture even when we cannot. It is about having faith that the struggles we face, the pain we endure, and the obstacles we encounter are all part of a larger plan that will get us to where we are meant to be. This idea of leaving it to God requires a shift in mindset. It calls us to let go of the need for control and to release our fear, doubt, and anxiety. When we trust in God's timing and wisdom, we free ourselves from the burden of trying to manage everything. We acknowledge that while we may not understand why things happen the way they do, we trust that God has a purpose behind it all. Trusting God means having the courage to take risks, to step into the unknown, and to face the challenges before us with confidence. It means moving forward with the belief that no matter what happens, we are never truly alone. God is with us, guiding us, supporting us, and providing us with the strength we need to keep going. This trust is not always easy. It is a choice we must make every day. But when we choose to leave it to God, we open ourselves to the possibility of something greater than we could have ever imagined. The journey of life is not always smooth. There will be times when things don't go as planned. When we experience failure, loss, or disappointment. It is in these moments that our faith is truly tested. But it's also in these moments that we can see the power of leaving it to God. When we place our burdens in His hands, we find peace in the midst of chaos. We are reminded that we are not defined by our circumstances, but by the strength of our faith and the love of the Creator. Leaving it to God does not mean that we don't have a role to play in our own lives. It does not mean that we can sit back and do nothing. Rather, it means that we do our part with faith and trust that God will do His part. We work hard, we strive for our goals, we make decisions with wisdom. But we do so with the understanding that the ultimate outcome is in God's hands. When we pray for guidance, we seek His will, and we listen for His direction. And when things don't go as we hope, we surrender our desires to Him, trust that He knows what is best for us. One of the greatest blessings of leaving it to God is the peace that comes with it. When we try to control everything, we become anxious, fearful, and restless. We worry about what might happen in the future, and we become consumed by what we cannot change. But when we trust God, we let go of that anxiety. We release the pressure to have all the answers, to have everything figured out. And in that release, we find peace. We find a calm assurance that everything will unfold as it should in His perfect time. It's important to remember that God's plan is not always what we expect. His ways are higher than our ways, and His timing is perfect, even when it doesn't align with our own. There may be times when we pray for something, and it doesn't happen the way we envisioned. Just because we don't see the result we want right away doesn't mean that God is not at work. Sometimes the delay or the detour is exactly what we need. Sometimes God is preparing us for something greater, something beyond our understanding. When we leave it to God, we also recognize that we are not in control of other people's actions or decisions. We cannot make others change. We cannot force things to happen in our favor. We cannot control the behavior of those around us. But what we can control is our response. We can choose to respond with grace, with patience, and with love. We can choose to forgive, to let go of bitterness, and to trust that God will work in the hearts of others as He works in ours. There's great power in surrender. When we give our burdens to God, we allow Him to work in ways we could never have imagined. We open the door to miracles, to blessings, and to transformation. Our lives may not always follow the path we envision, but when we leave it to God, we are assured that the journey is leading us to something far greater than we could have planned on our own. In times of hardship, it is easy to question why things are happening. We wonder why bad things happen to good people, why our prayers seem unanswered, and why we are faced with challenges that seem too great to bear. But when we trust in God, we remember that He is always with us, even in our darkest moments. He never leaves us. His love for us is unwavering, and He will carry us through whatever we face. Leaving it to God also means having the faith to believe in the unseen. It is about trusting in things we cannot touch or fully understand. It is about knowing that even though we may not see the way forward, God is already there making a way for us. It is about trusting that He has a plan for our lives and that He is working behind the scenes, even when we can't see it. There is a verse in the Bible that reminds us of this. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare, not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:11. This promise is a reminder that God's plans for us are good, even when we don't understand what is happening in our lives. He is working things out for our good, even when the path ahead seems uncertain. As we journey through life, let us remember to leave it to God. Let us trust in His plan, His timing, and in His wisdom. Let us surrender our worries, our fears, and our doubts to Him, knowing that He will carry us through. Let us have faith that the challenges we face are not the end of the story, but a chapter in the larger narrative that God is writing for our lives. When we leave it to God, we step into a place of peace, of trust, and of hope. We release the burden of trying to control everything, and we open ourselves to the grace and love that He offers. It is not always easy, but it's always worth it. When we leave it to God, we find the strength to keep moving forward, knowing that no matter what happens, we are in good hands. Our life's challenges are an inevitable part of the human experience. Everyone at some point will face difficulties that test their strength, passions, and resilience. These challenges can take many forms, be it health problems, financial struggles, personal loss, or emotional hardships. I often come unexpectedly, shaking our sense of stability and leaving us feeling vulnerable and uncertain. In these moments, it's easy to feel as though the world is against us, and we question how much more we can endure. But it's important to recognize that these challenges, though painful, are a natural part of life's journey and offer opportunities for growth, reflection, and transformation. The weight of life's challenges often creates a sense of helplessness. When things don't go as planned and we encounter setbacks, it can feel like we're constantly swimming against the current. We may try to control the situation, overthinking every detail, seeking solutions, and taking action in an attempt to fix what is broken. Yet, no matter how hard we try, some things remain beyond our control, leaving us frustrated and exhausted. This is when we begin to question our ability to manage life's difficulties and feel the urge to retreat, to shut down, or to give up altogether. In these moments, it's essential to remember that not everything is ours to fix, and not every outcome is within our power to control. The real challenge lies not in avoiding difficulty, but in how we choose to face it. Our life's obstacles have a way of revealing our character, our inner strength, and our values. It is during these times that we discover our capacity for perseverance, resilience, and the power of faith. We learn to adapt, to grow, and to find new ways of navigating through hardship. The challenges we face often force us to dig deeper within ourselves, to uncover strengths we didn't know we had, and to build a more profound connection with our inner selves. And while facing life's hardships is never easy, They shape us into the people we are meant to become, teaching us valuable lessons along the way. At the heart of life's challenges is the reminder that we are not alone. Though it may feel like we are fighting battles on our own, there is always a source of support, guidance, and strength available to us. Whether it's through faith, family, friends, or even within ourselves, we are equipped to navigate through difficult times. When we confront challenges with the understanding that we don't have to face them alone, it becomes easier to accept that we are capable of overcoming them. And while life's challenges may never cease entirely, our ability to rise above them becomes stronger with each experience, bringing us closer to understanding the purpose of our journey. Human instinct to control. The human instinct to control is deeply ingrained in our nature. From an early age, we are taught to take charge of our lives, to set goals and to shape our goals, and to set goals and shape our futures. And this drive for control comes from a desire to feel secure, to know that we are capable of managing our environment and our circumstances. Control gives us a sense of order and stability, helping us feel that we can navigate through life without being at the mercy of unpredictable forces. This instinct is not inherently negative. It serves a purpose by encouraging us to take initiative, plan for the future, and protect ourselves from harm. However, the desire to control everything can quickly become problematic, especially when we encounter situations that are beyond our influence. No matter how hard we try, there are circumstances, outcomes that we simply cannot dictate. This can create a sense of frustration, anxiety, and helplessness. The more we try to control, the more we may feel overwhelmed by the realization that not everything is within our grasp. We may start to lose our peace, becoming fixated on things that don't go according to plan, constantly trying to adjust and fix every detail of our lives. In such times, our instincts can push us into a cycle of stress, which only compounds our sense of being out of control. And any control also extends to our interactions with others. We often find ourselves trying to influence the decisions and actions of those around us, whether it's our loved ones, colleagues, or even strangers. This can come from a place of wanting to protect others or make sure that things go smoothly, but it can lead to frustration when we realize we cannot change people or make them a way that aligns with our desires. Trying to control others can strain relationships, breed resentment, and create conflict as we fail to recognize that each person is entitled to their own path, choices, and growth. Recognizing the limitations of our control is a crucial step in personal growth. When we understand that we cannot manage every aspect of our lives, it opens the door to a sense of surrender and trust. I didn't know the need for complete control allows us to focus on what truth is seen, matters the things we can change and influence, such as our responses, attitudes, and actions. It's a reminder that while we cannot control every outcome, we can control how we face challenges, how we adapt, and how we find peace within ourselves. When we release the need to control everything, we invite a sense of freedom, trust, and faith into our lives. Trusting in God's plan. Trusting in God's plan requires a deep sense of faith and surrender, acknowledging that there is a higher purpose to our lives that we may not fully understand. It is easy to get caught up in the details of our own desires and plans. But trusting in God means recognizing that His vision for our lives is broader and wiser than our own. And sometimes what we think we want or what we believe is best for us might not align with what God has in store. Trusting Him involves accepting that His timing, His direction, and His plan will lead us to something greater than we could ever imagine on our own. Life does not always unfold the way we expect, and there are moments when we encounter struggles or usually that make us question the direction we're out for. During these times, it can feel tempting to lose hope or to take matters into our own hands in an attempt to control the outcome. However, trusting in God's plan means having the patience to wait, the faith to believe that things are happening for a reason, and the courage to accept that there is divine wisdom at work, even when we don't see it immediately. It is during the hardest times that our faith is most tested, but it's also in these moments that our trust in God's plan can grow deeper. Trusting in God does not mean passivity or neglecting our responsibilities. We are still called to take action, make decisions, and pursue our goals with diligence and determination. However, when we trust in God's plan, we do so with the understanding that we are not in control of every outcome. We do our part, but we also leave room for God to lead us, guide us, and open doors that we may not have seen. This balance between effort and surrender allows us to move forward with peace, knowing that we are working in alignment with a purpose that is bigger than ourselves. Ultimately, trusting in God's plan is an act of faith and obedience. It is about letting go of the need for complete control and accepting that the path we are on, no matter how challenging, is leading us to something greater. Trusting God is not always easy, but it brings us a sense of peace, knowing that we are being guided by a loving, all-knowing Creator. With each step we take, we can trust that God is with us, working all things together for our good, even when we cannot see the whole picture. Surrendering control. Surrendering control is a powerful and liberating practice that requires a deep level of trust and humility. It involves acknowledging that, despite our best efforts, there are circumstances and outcomes in life that we cannot manage or influence. This realization can be unsettling, especially for those who are accustomed to meticulously planning and controlling every aspect of their lives. Our surrendering control does not mean giving up or becoming passive. Rather, it means choosing to release the need to micromanage every situation and allowing ourselves to trust in a higher power, a greater force, or the natural flow of life. It's a decision to stop fighting against things we cannot change and to embrace the peace that comes with letting go. The act of surrendering control requires us to confront our fears and insecurities. For many, the need for control stems from a fear of the unknown or a fear of failure. We worry that if we don't take charge, things will spiral out of our hands and we'll be left without direction. Surrendering control is not about ignoring responsibility, but about acknowledging that no matter how much we try to control the outcomes, we cannot dictate every aspect of life. It's about recognizing that uncertainty is a part of life and that instead of fearing it, we can trust that things will unfold as they are meant to. This trust in the process, even when it feels uncomfortable, is what ultimately brings us peace. When we let go of control, we make room for growth and transformation. Often we become so focused on maintaining control that we limit ourselves to what we know and what feels comfortable. Surrendering control allows us to step into the unknown, to embrace new possibilities, and to experience life as it comes without the constant pressure of having to fly in every detail. It's through this surrender that we often discover new strengths, insights, and opportunities that we would have missed if we had clung to the illusion of control. Trusting that things will unfold in their own time, we free ourselves from the burden of perfection and open up. Surrendering control strengthens our faith and deepens our connection to the present moment. It is a practice of living fully in the now, instead of constantly worrying about what might happen or trying to control every future outcome. When we stop trying to orchestrate every part of our lives, we are better able to appreciate the journey and the lessons that come with it. It is through surrender that we learn to let life flow naturally, trusting that we are being guided, protected, and supported in ways that we may not always see. Ultimately, surrendering control helps us move through life with grace, trusting that we are exactly where we are meant to be. Trust, not passivity. Trust, not passivity, is a crucial distinction when it comes to faith and navigating through life's challenges. I think people misunderstand the concept of trust, thinking it means doing nothing and waiting for things to happen on their own. However, true trust is an act of choice, not a passive state of inaction. Trusting in a higher power or in the natural flow of life requires us to take responsibility for our actions while also acknowledging that there are elements beyond our control. It means putting in the effort and taking deliberate steps, but doing so with the understanding that we are not solely responsible for the outcome. Trust about believing that even when we don't see immediate results, the effort we put in is moving us in the right direction. Passivity, on the other hand, often leads to stagnation and missed opportunities. It involves sitting back and waiting for things to happen without taking any action. Trusting without action is not what leads to growth or success. It is through actively participating in our own lives, making decisions, and putting in the work that we create the conditions for positive outcomes. Trusting a higher plan while continuing to move forward with purpose is a balance of faith and effort. And it's about knowing when to act, when to wait, and when to release control, but always staying engaged in the process rather than retreating into inaction. To trust without passivity also means recognizing the importance of patience. Often we want immediate results, and if we don't see progress quickly, we may feel discouraged or tempted to give up. But trusting in the process means having the patience to understand that good things take time. While we actively pursue our goals, we trust that the timing, the lessons, and the eventual outcome are part of a bigger picture. Trust is not about rushing or forcing things to happen, but allowing them to unfold naturally as we continue to show up and do our part. It's about finding peace in the knowing that our efforts are not in vain, even if they aren't immediately rewarded. Ultimately, trust is a mindset that empowers us to take action with confidence. It frees us from the fear of the failure and the need for constant control, allowing us to pursue our dreams and goals with the belief that we are supported and guided. It's not a resignation to fate, but a commitment to doing our best while trusting that there is a greater plan at work. Trust allows us to be proactive without the burden of perfection, taking each step forward with the belief that we are moving in alignment with something much larger than ourselves. Facing challenges with confidence. Facing challenges with confidence begins with understanding that obstacles are a natural part of life. Everyone encounters moments of adversity, and while it's easy to feel overwhelmed or defeated, confidence comes from knowing that we have the strength to overcome difficulties. Confidence doesn't mean the absence of fear or doubt. Rather, it's the belief that despite these feelings, we have the ability to push forward and persevere. It's about taking a proactive approach to challenges, viewing them as opportunities for growth rather than insurmountable barriers. With this mindset, we are able to confront life's difficulties head on, trusting that we can handle whatever comes our way. One of the key elements of facing challenges with confidence is having a sense of belief. When we trust in our abilities and value our own strengths, we become better equipped to deal with adversity. Self-confidence allows us to approach challenges with a clear mind and a solution-oriented attitude, rather than being paralyzed by fear or indecision. Even when we don't have all the answers, confidence gives us the courage to take the first step, knowing that we can learn and adapt along the way. It is the assurance that we can handle whatever's thrown at us, and that we are not defined by our setbacks, but by how we respond to them. Another important aspect of facing challenges with confidence is maintaining a positive perspective. It's easy to become discouraged when things don't go according to plan, but confident individuals understand that failure is not the end, but part of the process. Every challenge presents a lesson, an opportunity to learn something new or an experience that's resilience. And maintain a positive attitude helps us to stay focused on the potential outcomes and not on the difficulties themselves. Confidence in the face of adversity is rooted in the belief that we can grow stronger and wiser through each challenge we encounter, and that there is always a way forward, even if it's not immediately clear. Ultimately, facing challenges with confidence is about trusting in our capacity to adapt and grow. Our life's difficulties are rarely permanent, and each one is an opportunity to develop new skills, perspectives, and strengths. When we approach challenges with a mindset of confidence, we turn them into stepping stones for personal development. Instead of avoiding or shrinking from adversity, we embrace it, knowing that it is an essential part of our journey. By facing challenges with courage and assurance, we empower ourselves to navigate through life's storms with resilience and emerge stronger on the other side. Faith tested through struggles. Faith tested through struggles is a concept that many people experience during difficult times in their lives. And when everything seems to be falling apart and we face challenges that seem insurmountable, our faith is often put to the ultimate test. It's easy to have faith when things are going life is smooth and our goals or within are within reach. But when hardship strikes, it forces us to question not just our circumstances, but also the strength and depth of our belief. In these moments, we may feel disconnected from our faith or wonder if we're deemed punished or abandoned. Yet it is precisely through these trials that our faith has the potential to grow stronger as we learn to trust beyond our understanding and find meaning in our struggles. Struggles have a way of revealing the true nature of our faith. They force us to confront our doubts and fears, allowing us to either strengthen our trust or lose hope altogether. During challenging times, we often wrestle with the desire to control our situations, to fix things on our own. But faith is not about control, it's about surrendering to a higher plan and trusting that despite what we see or feel in the moment, there is a purpose behind the struggle. It is in these moments of difficulty that we are called to dig deeper, to rely on our faith and on the belief that we are not alone. Faith tested through struggles is about choosing to believe that there is something greater at work, even when it's hard to see or understand. Through struggle, our faith grows not because it remains unchallenged, but because we learn to trust even when we don't have all the answers. It's easy to remain hopeful when things are going our way, but true faith emerges when we continue to trust, even in the face of uncertainty. These testing times provide opportunities for transformation as we learn to let go of our expectations and accept that life doesn't always go according to our plans. The difficulties we face help to purify our faith, stripping away the surface level of certainty and forcing us to rely on something deeper. But in the process, we discover resilience and strength that we never knew we had, and we find comfort in knowing our faith is evolving, becoming more genuine, unshakable. Ultimately, faith tested through struggle serves as a reminder that challenges are not the end of the road, but part of a greater journey. They shape who we are and prepare us for the blessings that lie ahead. In times of hardship, our faith is not weakened, but refined. Each trial, each moment of doubt provides an opportunity for us to deepen our trust and to grow closer to the understanding that we are part of something much larger than ourselves. It is through the struggles that we come to know our faith not as a simple belief, but as a motive force that sustains us in the most difficult moments of our lives. Peace through trust. Peace through trust is a profound state of calm that arises when we choose to surrender our anxieties and place our faith in something greater than ourselves. In a world full of uncertainty and chaos, it is easy to feel overwhelmed by the pressure of trying to control every aspect of our lives. However, when we trust, whether it is in God, the universe, or our own inner wisdom, we release the brain into it and allow us in control and allow ourselves to experience peace. Trusting means letting go of the worry and fear that often accompany the unknown and embracing the peace that comes with the belief that things will unfold as they are meant to. The essence of peace through trust lies in our ability to relinquish our need for certainty and to embrace the fluidity of life. When we trust, we are no longer consumed by doubt or anxiety because we believe that there is a higher plan or order guiding our journey. And this trust allows us to rest in the understanding that not everything is within our control. And that's okay. By accepting this truth, we free ourselves from the burden of trying to fix every problem and can find serenity in the knowledge that we are supported. Trust brings a sense of calm because it reminds us that even in the midst of challenges, we are not alone and we don't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. Trust also provides peace by helping us focus on the present moment rather than worrying about the future. Often our lack of trust in the unfolding of life causes us to become preoccupied with what may or may not happen. This constant dwelling on future outcomes prevents us from enjoying the here and now. When we trust, we shift our energy from the unknowns of tomorrow to the possibilities of today. We find peace in being present, fully experiencing the moments we are in, and taking one step at a time. Trust allows us to let go of the anxiety over what might happen and embrace what is happening right in front of us. In the end, peace through trust is about releasing fear and stepping into a state of harmony with life. It's a reminder that peace is not something we achieve by controlling every outcome, but by trusting that regardless of what happens, we will be okay. Trusting creates a sense of security that goes beyond external circumstances, helping us cultivate an inner peace that cannot be shaken by the uncertainties of life. It's through trust that we find the strength to remain calm, to move forward with confidence, and to experience the deep sense of peace, knowing that everything is unfolding in perfect alignment. God's timing and purpose. God's timing and purpose are central concepts that invite us to reflect on the larger picture of our lives. Often we feel a sense of urgency or impatience as we try to shape our own path, striving for specific outcomes at certain times. Yet when we place our trust in God's timing, we come to understand that things do not always happen according to our own schedules. Sometimes what we think we need at a particular moment may not align with what is truly best for us in the long run. God's timing is not bound by our perception of time, but instead perfect and precise, taking into account not only our desires, but also our growth, development, and the greater good. What may seem like a delay or setback could actually be a step towards something more meaningful or beneficial, even if we cannot see it at the time. Understanding God's purpose in our lives often requires us to step back and trust that everything is unfolding as it should. Life's challenges, detours, and unexpected twists can feel discouraging, especially when things don't go as planned. However, God's purpose for us is often greater than we can comprehend. It is not simply about achieving personal success or reaching specific milestones, but about becoming the person we are meant to be, growing in faith, resilience, and wisdom. Each step, even those that seem confusing or painful, plays a role in shaping us and aligning us with our divine purpose. When we trust in God's plan, we open ourselves to the possibility that there is meaning behind every trial, and every blessing, even if it's not immediately seen. God's timing also teaches us the importance of patience and surrender. In a world that often prioritizes instant gratification, waiting for God's timing can be difficult. We want answers, we want solutions, and we want them now. But God's timing requires us to have patience and to trust that things will unfold in their own time in ways that we might not fully understand. And this requires a deep faith that while we may not see the path ahead, it is being guided by divine wisdom. As we learn to wait and trust, we are also learning to align our will with God's, accepting that His plan for us may be different from our own, but is ultimately better for us in the long run. Ultimately, God's timing and purpose help us find peace in the uncertainty of life. Instead of constantly pushing forward, trying to force things into existence, we are invited to let go and trust that there is a divine order. This trust brings a sense of security, knowing that no matter what, our lives are unfolding according to a greater plan. Even in moments of struggle or doubt, we can find comfort in the belief that everything happens for a reason, and that God's timing and purpose will guide us to where we are meant to be. By embracing this truth, we can move through life with greater faith, patience, and peace, trusting that everything is happening in its right time and for our ultimate good. We control our response. We control our response, and this power lies at the heart of how we navigate these challenges. While we may not always have control over the circumstances, we always have control over how we choose to react to them. This realization is both empowering and liberating, because it means that our happiness, peace, and sense of purpose are not dependent on external factors, but rather on our own mindset and choices. Life can be unpredictable, and we are bound to encounter obstacles, setbacks, and moments of discomfort. However, how we choose to respond to these situations can determine the course of our journey. We have the ability to decide whether we will react with anger, fear, or frustration, or whether we will approach challenges with patience, understanding, and resilience. Our ability to control our response is a reflection of our inner strength and emotional intelligence. In any given situation, there is often an initial impulse to react automatically, based on past experiences, emotions, or biases. However, when we take a moment to pause, reflect, and choose our response thoughtfully, we can shift the outcome of the situation. This choice requires self-awareness and a commitment to acting in ways that align with our values, rather than being driven by our emotions or the circumstances at hand. We may not be able to change what happens to us, but we can always control how we react, and this can make all the difference in the quality of our lives. Choosing how we respond also means taking responsibility for our reactions. But it is easy to blame others or external circumstances for how we feel. But when we recognize that we have control over our responses, we take ownership of our emotional state. This does not mean suppressing our feelings or pretending that challenges don't affect us, but rather acknowledging that we have the ability to choose our actions and attitudes in response to those feelings. This shift in perspective empowers us to move from a reactive stance to a proactive one, where we no longer let our circumstances dictate our emotional state. Instead, we consciously decide to respond in a way that fosters growth, learning, and emotional well-being. Ultimately, controlling our response is a practice of mindfulness and emotional discipline. It requires us to be present in the moment and aware of the choices we have in any given situation. When we embrace this control, we find that we are no longer at the mercy of our emotions or external events. Instead, we become the masters of our own experience, capable of navigating life with intention and grace. The power to control our response allows us to move through life with greater confidence, resilience, and peace, knowing that while we cannot control everything, we always have the ability to choose how we engage with the world around us. Power of surrender. And the power of surrender is often misunderstood, as it is commonly seen as giving up or admitting defeat. However, true surrender is about letting go of the need to control every aspect of our lives and instead allowing life to unfold as it is meant to. It's about releasing the constant struggle against we cannot change, and trusting that there is a greater plan at work. Surrendering doesn't mean becoming passive or inactive. It means accepting that there are elements beyond our control and choose to respond to them with faith, grace, and peace. It's a process of yielding to the flow of life rather than fighting against it, opening ourselves to the wisdom that can only come from trusting in something greater than ourselves. When we embrace the power of surrender, we free ourselves from the mental and emotional burden of trying to control outcomes. Often, our desire for control stems from fear of the unknown, fear of failure, or fear of losing what we have. But surrender allows us to release that fear, knowing that even when things don't go as planned, there is still a greater purpose at play. By surrendering, we open ourselves to new possibilities, experiences, and growth. We stop trying to force things into existence and instead allow them to unfold naturally. This shift in perspective brings a sense of relief and peace, as we no longer carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, believing that we must handle everything ourselves. Surrender also empowers us to trust in the timing of life. We often rush through life trying to meet deadlines, reach milestones, and within specific time frames. However, the power of surrender teaches us to trust that everything happens in its own time. Our attempts to control time can lead to frustration and disappointment. When we surrender to the flow of life, we allow things to happen when they are meant to and in the way that they are meant to. This trust in divine timing helps us let go of our anxieties about the future and focus on the present moment, knowing that what is meant for us will come at the right time. Ultimately, the power of surrender is about finding peace in the unknown. It's about recognizing that while we cannot control everything, we can control how we respond to the unknown. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up on our dreams or desires. It means trusting that the path to those dreams might not look exactly how we imagine, but it is still worth following. By letting go of the need to control, we embrace the beauty of life's unfolding, knowing that in surrender, we are not losing something, but gaining everything we need for our growth and transformation. Faith in the unseen. Faith in the unseen is a deeply rooted belief that transcends our physical senses and limited understanding of the world around us. It is the ability to trust in something greater than what we can see, hear, or touch, acknowledging that there is a force, plan, or purpose beyond our immediate perception. This kind of faith asks us to look beyond the surface and to believe in what we cannot directly experience, whether it's a higher power, an unfolding future, or the unseen forces that guide our lives. It is often tested in times of uncertainty when the answers are not clear, and when we are called to believe in the possibilities that lie beyond the present moment. Having faith in the unseen requires a deep trust that what we cannot observe is just as real and meaningful as what we can see. It's about understanding that the invisible elements of our lives, our emotions, our dreams, our values, are just as powerful and significant as the tangible world we experience. This faith demands patience and perseverance, especially when the outcome is not immediately visible. We may not always understand why certain things happen, but faith in the unseen reminds us that there is a bigger picture, one that we may not fully comprehend at the time. It encourages us to trust in the process, knowing that even when we cannot see the way forward, something is being prepared for us. Faith in the unseen also calls us to live with hope, especially during times of trial or doubt. When we face challenges and hardships, it is easy to focus solely on the immediate difficulties and feel as though things are hopeless. However, having faith in what is not seen helps us to look beyond our current circumstances and trust that a better outcome is possible. This kind of faith often requires letting go of our need to control the future or have all the answers, and instead trusting that the unseen forces at work are guiding us towards something greater. It is this belief in the unseen that allows us to maintain hope, even when we cannot predict the outcome, knowing that there's purpose and meaning beyond what we can perceive. Ultimately, faith in the unseen is about embracing the mystery of life and surrendering to the idea that not everything is meant to be understood right away. It is the courage to believe in possibilities that are not yet visible, trusting that everything is unfolding as it should, even if we cannot see it. This kind of faith opens us to experiences, opportunities, and growth that we may never have expected, encouraging us to move forward with a sense of trust and peace, knowing that there is more to life than meets the eye. God's promise. God's promise is a powerful assurance that transcends human understanding and provides us with a sense of security and hope. It is a guarantee that no matter what we face in life, God's plan for us is full of love, purpose, and ultimate good. Throughout Scripture, in our personal faith journeys, and God's promises are expressed this unwavering commitment to protect, guide, and provide for His people. And these promises are not conditional on our actions, but are steadfast and rooted in God's nature as faithful, loving, and they remind us that we are never alone, even in our darkest moments, and that there is always a greater purpose at work behind every Goliath. When we reflect on God's promise, we understand that it is not always about immediate solutions or tangible rewards, but rather about the deeper peace and trust we can develop through our relationship with Him. His promises often include spiritual fulfillment, eternal life, and a peace that surpasses understanding. These assurances are not based on earthly success or material gain, but on the trust that God's love and presence will guide us through the uncertainties of life. His promise assures us that even when we do not understand the path we are on, He is with us, shaping our hearts and leading us toward the fulfillment of His greater plan. God's promise also teaches us patience and faith in the waiting. Many times His promises may not be immediately fulfilled in or fulfilled in, but that does not mean they are untrue. God's timing is perfect, and while we may want immediate answers or relief, His plan unfolds according to a higher word wisdom. And this requires us to trust not only in His promises, but in His perfect timing and purpose. It's through the waiting that we grow stronger in our faith, learning to depend on God's provision and trust in His ability to bring about what is best for us. And even when we can't see the end result, His promises remind us to hold on to hope, knowing that His word is always true. Explain peace, trust, and hope. Peace, trust, and hope are interwoven elements that form a foundation of emotional and spiritual stability. When we experience peace, it often comes from a deep sense of trust in something greater than ourselves, whether that's trust in God, the universe, or natural flow of life. This trust enables us to let go of worry and fear, knowing that even in the midst of uncertainty, we are being guided and supported. Trust in a higher power in the process of life itself allows us to relax and surrender to the moment, confident that they're unfolding as they should. Peace comes not from controlling every aspect of our lives, but from the assurance that we are not alone and that there is a divine plan at work. Hope is the fuel that keeps us moving forward, especially during difficult times. It is born from trust and nourished by peace. Hope provides us with the belief that no matter what challenges we face, there is always a way through and that something better awaits us on the other side. When we place our trust in the unseen, in God's promises, or the natural order of things, hope emerges as a steady source of motivation. Even in moments of despair, Hope acts as a light that guides us forward, reassuring us that our struggles have purpose and that our journey is leading us to something meaningful. I hope reminds us that our current situation is not the end, but merely part of a greater story that is unfolding. Together, peace, trust, and hope create a cycle that strengthens us in times of adversity. As we experience peace, we cultivate trust, and this trust fuels our hope. In turn, our hope encourages us to hold on to peace even when external circumstances are challenging. Each of these qualities supports the others, creating a resilient mindset that allows us to face life's challenges with grace and confidence. When we trust that things will work out as they are meant to, we can find peace in knowing that we don't have to control everything. And that brings us hope for the future. This trust, peace, and hope together form an unshakable foundation that sustains us through life's most turbulent seasons. In conclusion, embracing the power of surrender, trusting in God's plan, and having faith in the unseen are not just abstract concepts, but guiding principles that shape how we navigate the complexities of life. These beliefs offer us profound peace, inner strength, and resilience in the face of life's challenges. When we let go of our need for control, surrendering to a higher power and trusting that everything is unfolding according to a greater purpose, we find the freedom to move through life with confidence. By believing in the unseen, we open ourselves to a deeper connection with our spiritual selves, recognizing that what we cannot see or will not see is often just as important as what we can. As we cultivate peace, trust, and hope in our hearts, we unlock the ability to face life's uncertainties with grace. Rather than being defeated by our struggles, we become empowered by the knowledge that we are supported by something much greater than ourselves. We control our response, and in doing so, we shape our own experience. Through this lens, we discover the power to surrender, the trust, and the courage to hope. In the end, our faith in God's promises and His perfect time allows us to walk through life's journey with peace, knowing that no matter what we encounter are never truly alone, and everything happens as it is meant to. Thank you for taking the time to read and reflect on these thoughts. I hope that the message resonates with you and ensures that it serves as a reminder of the strength and peace we can find when we trust in something greater than ourselves. May you carry this sense of hope, trust, and peace with you as you move forward in your journey. I remember you are never alone, and there's always a purpose unfolding in your life. Goodbye, and may you continue to walk in faith, knowing that every step you take is part of a greater plan.